In history, sometimes, things that don't seem related can turn out to be surprisingly connected, and so is the words Afro and Palestinian, which might not seem to have much in common, and to many, when they hear the word Palestinians, the only thing that comes to their mind is a group of Arabic people being persecuted or marginalized by the state of Israel. Well, what if I tell you that they are Afro-Palestinians? Yes, they are black people, who are as black as Kwame from Ghana or Uhuru from Kenya. And they are not just random migrants, they have been living in Palestine for long, and they go way back in history. In that case, join me in this ride as we discover the Afro-Palestinians. But if you are new to the channel, please do make sure you subscribe to our channel for more videos like this every day. One of the reasons why you've never heard about Afro-Palestinians is because their history is not written in books, but passed down through stories from one generation to the next. Just like the Afro-Indians and Afro-Argentines, their story usually don't get to the news. At the heart of Palestine lies a community of Afro-Palestinians living in Ariha, also known as Jericho. Yes, you heard that right, Jericho, the biblical city that was destroyed by Israeli migrants who came from Egypt in search of the promised land. What you did not also hear is that the people of Jericho included blacks who settled in the land many years ago. So according to oral history, Jericho was a dry desert, and at first, the settlers were a group of Africans who migrated from a place in modern-day Sudan.
Then he went to the river Jordan where John baptized Jesus in that river. That's why today Jericho green. In the time of Jesus, this was desert. Nobody lived here.
Yeah.
Only a few families from Africa. Now, I don't know if you watch the people, how they're black in Jericho. Because the first people live here, they are family from Africa.
It's not just in Jericho, a bigger population of them live in Jerusalem or Ariha in today's Jordan. So the big question now is, how did they arrive there and what was their history? Well, the origin of Afro-Palestinians can be traced to countries as far as Nigeria, Chad, Mali and Senegal, and of course, Sudan. Even though the original Afro-Palestinians came by their own will, a greater number of them were forcefully brought through a dark forgotten history that Arabs were highly involved in, which is slave trade. You see, during the peak of the Ottoman Empire, the port of Gaza City was a hub for slave trade due to its location by the Mediterranean Sea and its close proximity to Cairo, the Caliphate's capital. And that's where the word Abid came from, which means slave, in which in modern day is still used by some Arab races to refer to black people. Therefore, to put this history into perspective, we can divide African immigration to Palestine into three eras: the Umayyad Khalifa era, the Fatimid era, and the last days of Ottoman Empire during the World War I. During the Umayyad Khalifa era, they allowed a lot of trade and diplomatic relations to thrive. In addition, Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people from all around the region would visit the land of Palestine for pilgrimage, but many of them decided to stay and live there due to the economic and political stability of the region at the time. Because it was a multinational area, it was normal for people of the cities of Palestine to see other people from all around the world, and it made them more tolerant of different races and faiths. It was normal to see this, especially in cities like Jerusalem. The most recent era that witnessed the influx of African visitors to Palestine was during the last days of the Ottoman Empire, during the World War I. During this period, many Africans that visited Jerusalem for pilgrimage was unable to go back, and that's a small percentage of them. Towards the end of the war, the British hired laborers from Nigeria, Sudan, Senegal, and Chad to build railroads and lay pipes in Jerusalem as part of the British Engineering Corps. During the British Mandate in Palestine, particularly in the 1930s, the number of Africans migrating to Jerusalem grew steadily. The most recent major influx of African migrants to Palestine occurred during the World War II, when African Muslims who made their pilgrimage to Palestine around that time were forced to settle permanently as borders were closed after the war. Since they had nowhere to go, they decided to stay in Palestine and make it their new home. Today, in the northern gate of Jerusalem's holy place, in the Muslim quarter of the city, it hosts a minority of about 350 to 450 Afro-Palestinian families. Since Palestine has a very long history of different civilizations and dynasties that ruled the land due to its religious and geographical importance, This is why many Afro-Palestinians are mixed, because in recent years, they intermarry each other. That's why you find Palestinians with features that range from blue-eyed blondes to curly-haired blacks who share a common culture, language, and tradition with each other. And they are proud Palestinians. To them, they feel more integrated into the Palestinian society more than the Palestinians feel in Israel. One of the best-known Afro-Palestinians in history is Ali Jida, a former Palestinian resistance fighter of Chadian descent. Ali Jida is best known for his involvement with Palestinian Liberation Organization. After coming back from prison after his participation in the national struggle, he made this documentary in 2015, Jerusalem Conflict: The Ali Jida Story. In the documentary, he talked about the oppression all Palestinians face daily from Israeli government.
Usually they have bodyguards over there. So the Palestinian kids can go over there. And as I told you, in spite of the fact that we pay the same taxes, we don't get the same services. This is the main entrance to the Wailing Wall. You see the man coming now, just now, he's a Palestinian. This old man.
Right, coming through the Jewish quarter.
If he is allowed to pass the yard of the Wailing Wall, in seconds he will reach to his place.
Another well-known Afro-Palestinian resistance fighter is Fatima Banawi. Born to a Nigerian father and Palestinian mother, Fatima became the first female Palestinian to be arrested on terrorism charges. She made a failed attempt to bomb an Israeli cinema in Jerusalem in 1967 and was sentenced to 30 years in prison, of which she served only 10. But before we continue, I think it's important to differentiate between Afro-Palestinians and the Afro-Israelis. Even though they look alike, but they have different histories and story. For Afro-Palestinians, they came as pilgrims, slaves, migrants, and settlers. But for the Afro-Israelis, they are among the 14,000 African Jews from Ethiopia that were flown into Israel in 1990s by Israeli Air Force to save them from captivity in Sudan. These Ethiopian Jews are today considered Israeli citizens, even though they are being treated as second-class citizens in Israel currently. And that's a whole different and complicated story altogether, which we'll talk about in the next video. But before then, please do make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so that you'll be notified when we publish the video. But regardless, over the years, the Afro-Palestinian community has actively engaged in Palestinian resistance movements. Most Afro-Palestinians remain proud of their African heritage, and hopefully in the nearest future, their generations will one day be able to live peacefully and secure their freedom from Israel. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching this video. Please do make sure you subscribe to our channel for more videos like this every day.